Hey everyone, this is just a quick layout update. This past month, July 2024, this is where we stood with the layout. Track mostly glued in place, the pond and stream cut in and water poured, and some of the pink insulation foam painted brown. Some of it actually does have some grass and some tile grout on it as well. So it was time to get the old brown paint out. I just poured, or maybe more like squeezed it from the old bottle, and then came back with a wet, cheap brush just to push it around and cover up as much of the pink insulation as I had left in paint. I didn't get the fuel company or the coal company area painted, and the freight warehouse area, it also was left pink for a while, and I didn't paint all the mainline track. Anyway, off camera, I did come back in and glue down the industry sidings with the latex caulk like I've shown in previous videos. The two lines that go into the gravel company were giving me some issues with cars passing cleanly through the gravel hoppers. So what I did is I just pushed those two tracks closer together and then manually pushed cars back and forth until I could get them to pass with no issues. You can see here how the tracks are not really parallel. Most of the issues, I think, may have come from the Walthers kit and the Kato switches not communicating distance for parallel tracks and what their spacing should be. Time to lay out some roads I want to put in place. What I ended up doing was just roughly drawing out the roads, with 2-lane roads being about 2¼ inches wide and single lane roads about 1¼ inches wide. I then took the wax pencil part that had broken off and just roughly colored in the areas that I wanted to be the actual roads. Anyhow, here's a drone-like flyover of the proposed county and country roads that I'm going to put in. I took some time to airbrush all the track a dark brown to make it look less shiny new. I mean, heck, I grew up next to a railroad. Even when they put brand new rails in, it's oxidized long before it's even installed. I made sure to come back and wipe off the tops of the rails and ran trains several times on all of the track to make sure the electrical contact was good. The nice thing about using acrylic paint on metal rails is that if you have any issues, a fingernail is all you need to remove a little bit of stubborn paint, and you can come back and touch it up later. And after that was all dry, I did come back and lay down some ballast from the edge of the pond or stream through the split for the passing siding and the main siding up to where it comes back together. You'll notice that the switches were not ballasted and they were not painted. I'm going to come back and paint those by hand and ballast with extra care because I want to make sure they still work. They have moving parts and they need to make electrical connections between the points and the other rails. So while I was running trains to check for connectivity after I ballasted everything, I found this issue. If you throw the industrial switch, the industrial spur switch, back to the main line, the power is killed to the freight and coal siding. Now, I think my original thoughts here were that I wouldn't be running but one train on those sidings, so that switch would be open and I would be able to get power routed to whatever siding I was working on. But in the spirit of one never knows what the future might hold, I came back and added power past the divergent switch leg and re-glued the track in place. Using the latex caulk made this an easy task, and I was so glad that I held off laying ballast up on these sidings, as that would have pulled up much more of that insulation foam and made the task that much more difficult. Problem solved. And that puts a wrap on July's updates for the layout.